Hiya guys and welcome back to JankQuest. Today we have the long-awaited Wugtrio. So this deck won our poll that we did a while ago where we asked you to choose between the Wugtrio and the Spidops, and Wugtrio won by a landslide vote. So we've waited until the Paldea Evolved format as the deck's got a few new cards. So the basic gist of this deck is to set up as quick as you can to try and turbo out the Wugtrios and then constantly loop them. And your win con isn't by doing damage and taking prizes, it's actually a mill deck, so you want to deck your opponent out. So without further ado, let's get to it. Make sure you hit the like button and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because it really does help us out. So to start it off, we play 4 copies of the Wiglet and 4 copies of Wugtrio. There is actually 2 different Wiglets that came out with the Scarlet and Violet. We want the one that has dig a little, so you flip a coin. There's a common theme here with the coin flips. And if you get heads, you can mill a card. It's not the best attack, but it's better than the one that potentially is like a turn skip. I just like to try and turbo through their deck as quick as possible. The main card that you want to be using, obviously, is evolving into the Wugtrio. So you constantly want to have a Wiglet on bench to evolve into the Wugtrio if you haven't got one already, and you use the Undersea Tunnel. So you flip 3 coins for 3 colourless energy, and you mill 3 cards for each heads that you get, so you can potentially mill up to 9 cards. When you think that your opponent is going to be starting after they set up with 47 cards or less, then it doesn't actually take that many heads to deck them out, especially with things like the Professor's Research and all the different Pokeball cards that they're going to use for their setup. So moving on. So as an energy engine, we play 3 of the Cherubi, which also is protected against the effects of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. And we play the Cherim. So the Cherim is very, very strong in the deck as it can attach grass energies from hand however you like to your Pokemon, as long as they don't have a rule box. So with all the different ways to recover and recycle, you can quite easily get the 3 energies onto the Wugtrio for consistent attacks. And you might also have noticed that the Wiglet's Wugtrio and these are all searchable by Level Ball. And finally, for utility, we play the Manaphy and the Radiant Venusaur as our bit of spice. So apart from the Venusaur, everything in the deck is within range of a Radiant Greninja, so this just helps protect against them taking multiple prizes. I like playing all single prizes, which is why I don't play things like Luminion or Squawkabilly. I just don't want to give my opponent the opportunity to take more than 1 prize when the whole point of the deck is to mill and be in the game as much as possible. So this deck sort of puts your opponent on a timer, so they want to be able to take their 6 prizes before you can mill them out. So you don't want to be helping out your opponent by speeding up their win con. And then the Radiant Venusaur, so every time you end your turn, you can draw until you have 4 cards, and because I play a lot of item cards in this deck, you've usually got quite a low hand size, so this just helps the consistency. You never have the problem as well with attacking and taking knockout, therefore taking prizes and capping your draws, so because you have a different win con, this really makes the card shine in the deck. Next we play all the different types of Pokeballs, so we play 3 Nest Ball, and we play 4 Level Ball, and just to finish it off with 1 of the Hisuian Heavy Ball. These can pretty much grab you anything that you need. Because you don't take prizes, the Heavy Ball's there just to be able to grab something that you need if necessary. Level Ball can search everything apart from the Venusaur, and then the Nest Ball just helps the consistent setup. Next up we play 2 copies of Energy Retrieval and 1 copy of the new Superior Energy Retrieval. The deck likes to recycle its resources, and this is really good in the grind game, so I usually loop this around in my deck, which I'll show later, leave this till late game, and hopefully you've got a position where you can checkmate them. We also play 1 Super Rod to help with the recycle and be able to shuffle in basic energies or Pokemon. And then a really important card in the deck, as you are constantly going to have your Wugtrios knocked out, is Rescue Carrier. So this can add back basically all the same stuff that Level Ball searches. So when they take a knockout on your Wugtrio, you can add back a Wiglet and a Wugtrio and start benching them and kind of keep the pressure on your opponent that way. We also play 2 Welcoming Lantern, which might give you an indication of how we loop the cards in our deck. And then we finish it with an Escape Rope and a Trekking Shoes. Escape Rope is good for the Gust ability and the Venusaur, which has a high retreat cost and actually cannot have energies attached by the Cherim because it has a rule box, so that's just there for that. Trekking Shoes just for the added consistency. And next I'll show why we're playing all those items as well, which is the Pokestop, which is a very important stadium, and Artisan. As we'll touch on later, I do like to play stadiums to have outs to, probably in this deck, Temple of Sinnoh. I did experiment as well with Path to the Peak, but I felt it conflicted with the Venusaur, and it just didn't really offer me enough. I just wanted to set up quickly rather than to slow my opponent's setup. So Pokestop can mill any number of your item cards, so mill 3, you might mill some energies and an energy retrieval so you can get them added back to hand. You might mill some Pokemon and the rescue carrier so you can add them to hand that way, so it's almost just like being able to draw extra cards. It's also great recovery being able to grab those cards later on in the game. Artisan is just like another nest ball but for non-rule box basics, so a very good card for consistency. These cards as well, I don't really mind too much about my opponent be able to use their effects, especially Pokestop, because I want to get cards out of their deck. So if they mill 3, then happy days, they're kind of fulfilling my win con. Next, moving on to supporters, and the most important supporter that we play is Bruno. I did touch with Iono, but at the same time, late game, I don't really like it because it can be putting cards back into their deck and actually making it take longer to mill them out. With Bruno, they're going to be consistently taking knockouts on my Wugtrio. It's just a fact, the Wugtrios are not going to stick around. But with this, I can loop my hand back into my deck and draw 7 cards, so I can keep the things like the energy retrievals if I don't need them yet, put them back in, and the draw 7 just really helps get to the things you need and stay in the game. You've also got the Welcoming Lantern to add it back, so it's almost like playing extra copies. So once you see this, you're usually in a pretty good place. And then we play a few one-offs, so we play 1 Boss's Orders and 1 Serena. So they both have a gusting ability which can be really useful in bricking your opponent if they overcommit to something and they don't have switch cards or the ability to retreat. This can give you another turn basically where you'll have a free attack to mill more cards. And then we also play Raihan. Like I said, Wugtrios are going to get slapped. So being able to attach an energy and then search any card in your deck is really, really powerful. And then we also play Clara as another card for recovery, being able to add 2 Pokemon and 2 energies back to hand. To go with the Cherrim engine, then we play 9 copies of the basic grass energy, which I find is a good balance because you've also got the retrieval cards to add them back. And then a new card that really changes things for the deck is the reversal energy. So this card came out in Paldea Evolved. It's super strong, so you will see it in some meta decks as well. But this for Wugtrio is crazy. When you're behind in the prize race, which is always in this deck after turn 1 pretty much because you're not taking prizes and they will be, it provides 3 energy of every type. So you attach 1 of these to your Wugtrio and you're ready to go. So it just really improves the consistency and you can consistently attack with Undersea Tunnel and hopefully hit multiple heads. So that is the deck profile. I hope you've enjoyed it and it's definitely something different. If you want to have some fun and troll your friends or your opponent, then this is definitely a deck that you should try. There's lots of room for experimentation. It's definitely more of a meme deck, but it can definitely steal some games and it should not be underestimated. If you start milling some cards that are key pieces of their deck that they need to function, they're really in a tough spot. Like I said, it definitely puts them on a timer where they're going to want to get the win as soon as possible. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like I said, really helps us out. We want to hit 500 subs. Leave a like if you've enjoyed this profile, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks very much for watching.